Alright guys, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but I kind of try to do Gen Pop, the cleaned up version, and then I try to come in the shade room and give you guys the full thought process. So I mentioned a couple things on my video today, but first, before I get started, I do want to remind you guys that we will be live in the shade room tomorrow night, Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will be doing Dolly Court TV. I have some cases on the docket. I'm thinking I will present at least 3 or 4 of those cases. I want to do 4. The show will be at least probably, I used to do it 30 minutes back in the day. I don't know if I should do 30 minutes or an hour, but I have 4 cases that I do want to present. Oh my gosh, now my battery's going dead. Okay, so anyway, my take on what's going on in the market and the industry right now. A lot of people, I hear a lot of reborn artists panicking. They're saying that they're cutting back on painting reborn babies because the sales have dropped tremendously, and that mostly only silicone babies are selling at the time. I think that the lead artists, they said even some of the prototype artists are having a time with getting their babies sold and stuff. Well, their prices is a little bit inflated if you ask me. Nobody's wanting to spend, well, I'm not going to say nobody. Most people are not willing to spend silicone price on a reborn. The second market, it drops tremendously, especially, this is true. This has nothing to do with anything other than true facts. In most cases, probably want to say 80% of the time, a Caucasian baby on second market value drops at least 60 to 70% somewhere in there, if not less, more, on second market. And the reason I believe behind that is because actually you can find more incredible Caucasian babies out here painted than AA and ethnic, biracial, whatever you want to call the different, that mix of babies, because it's very challenging to paint African-American babies. I've heard people say, oh, it's not that hard, this and other, but I haven't yet to see them paint one before they can make that assessment. Not only that, just because you paint one doesn't mean that you're painting it in a correct skin tone. I will say that there are some phenomenal painters out here that gets it right, but it's a lot more that gets it wrong when it comes to AA, which is why there are higher in demand. The price is a lot higher when you are trying to buy them. But moving forward, I feel like overall still, even with that market, it's so much out there, and the market is so flooded, and you got people who are just, you know, putting dolls together and selling them for cheap, and some of them are selling them very high, and they're still, the quality doesn't match, which is, I think, taken away from a lot of the sales across the board. A lot of people are deciding that they're going to paint for themselves, and then they paint one baby and boom, they start selling. They're an experienced artist, and even more than that, they go to teaching people and giving tutorials and advice on painting, and it's like, whoa. So I think that is definitely taking an effect on the market in a negative way. On the positive side, you may luck up with a new artist that actually have raw talent that just started out and prices aren't inflated yet, and you can hop on the bandwagon with that. I think a lot of artists also get overlooked when they don't have a big name behind them or a huge following, and their work is actually exceptional. So it is a buyer's market. And when I say it's a buyer's market, you do have a lot to choose from. You don't have to deal with stank attitudes and, you know, all this, you know, one-sided thing, thinking that we need them and they don't need us type situations on the market at this point. But I think silicones also have played a major part in the decrease of sales. I think a lot of people are going towards silicone babies, and again, that's a twofold situation. I feel like part of that is because there are a lot of the higher end collectors, and when I say higher end, the ones that are able to pay and willing to pay the higher price for a doll, are seeing that these reborn prices are inflated, and a lot of people collect reborns because they're more affordable. Well, if you go to trickling over to the silicone price range, then I might as well go ahead and buy me a silicone baby. That's what most logical thinkers are doing. Now, some people absolutely do not like silicone regardless, so they will never switch over, but I'm not speaking about them. I'm speaking about the ones that do switch over, and this is part of it. So I think that we all play a major part in the puzzle of what is going on in our industry and our market. I think also some of the more seasoned artists tear down new artists, and they don't want them to grow. And I think that they are afraid, and they're also, you know, hating that people are teaching people to paint. I don't have a problem with any of that. I do, however, have my pet peeve with those that work isn't phenomenal teaching others to paint, because I feel like the basic tutorials can teach the same as what they are charging these collectors to learn to paint. But that's no here or there. That's just my opinion, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so you know, that is what I feel is going on with the market. I don't know. I just really feel like, you know, and like I said in my video with the Gen Pop, I really was expecting a drop in the silicone prices because of the influx of silicone babies out here. And I'm starting to see a lot more kids and stuff. Let me just go a little bit further to say that I actually found a silicone kit that I really like, that's in the $1,300 or $1,400, wherein the more exquisite kits by master artist prices is double that, with the same features. Yeah, the sculpting might be, you know, a little bit more advanced on certain parts of the doll, etc., etc., but overall the baby is nice enough to look real and to be great for holding and posing. And the blank kit, now I will say that the silicone pour is also look as smooth. I can't speak on the color unless I have the doll in front of me, which a lot of people don't understand. The color of the silicone as a blank makes a difference in the artist painting. It does affect it, especially if it's translucent. It causes the doll to look more, I don't know, it takes away from the realism. It takes away from the artist's skills of painting as well. So you are getting quality when you buy the higher end kits. I'm not talking down on them, because I mean, of course, Bella is, you know, gorgeous. And if you look at even the other ones out there that's painted by other artists, they look just as amazing. Shout out to Nanto Babies on Instagram. She has one of the most beautiful sages I've seen to date. In fact, I would put her baby up there with the Claire Teller prototype. That would have been my next choice if I could have got a hold of that baby. I saw like a little clip of that baby a little bit before I knew who it was going to, and trust me, I was all interested. There are some people that are also, like I said before, also taking away from the silicone market as far as the kit buying and stuff, and making it a little bit more like, well, I might as well get a, you know, doll from the actual sculptor and artist, because they are putting price tags that's unbelievably high for what they actually are doing as far as artistry in the doll. So it's a lot of different facets to collecting, and you know, I don't look at the technical side, but I do look at the investment side. I know a lot, like I keep saying, you know, a lot of people are comparing like how the artists make the babies. I can give a rat's ass how she makes it, or how he makes it, or whoever makes it, as long as the result come out the way I want it, and it moves the way I want it, and look the way I want it. I don't care what they're putting in it and how they're doing, as long as it's nothing that's going to kill me later or blow up, like I said before. But I do care about the financial side of it, because it affects me. It affects me even when it's not my doll. What is out there on the market, it dictates when I get ready to sell my baby, if I'm going to be able to get most of my money back and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But a lot of people be like, oh, I'll just go out and buy me a baby for $800 or whatever, and blah 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 blah. I'm not saying that those babies are gonna, you know, be the same as, you know, a really really nice and more expensive doll. I'm just saying that there are other options out there, and I'm starting to look at those other options and see that there are some real strong competition coming up. Competition for the artists, but you know, options for us collectors on the silicone market. So and there are some good painters out there. You just have to look. You also have to consider the fact of what they're charging versus their art skill, their skills. And I think for what some people do as far as their work and for their skill set, I think the prices are pretty compatible. I mean, and I honestly, straight up confession, I've learned that I think part of the reason why I enjoy some of my dolls a lot more now is because I don't feel as guilty about what I've spent. But then and again, when I have that one special baby that is top of the line and have everything in it and is of high quality and I'm in love with it 100%, and when I say 100%, maybe I should say 90%, because you're never 100%. There is really not much guilt when I buy it at a time where I'm okay to buy, if that makes sense. There has been times where I've actually really scraped and scrambled and danced and twerked to really come up with the money to buy a doll, and then that kind of weighs on me in the back of my head when the baby gets home. Even if I really like it, it does take away. But when the babies that I've made where I've actually sold babies before I got the doll and then I get the doll, I feel relaxed and I can really appreciate the doll when it gets there. I was talking to a couple friends, and they have said to me that they actually enjoy the dolls that they spend less on more than the expensive dolls, not because they're afraid of the way the doll, to handle the doll or anything like that, but just simply because in their mind they don't have this guilt of how much money they've spent. So you know, it's a lot of different, like I said, a lot of different facets. Everybody have their own way of thinking. I try not to overthink things or think too deeply, but when it comes to finance, I have to think. I have to think about these things. And 2019, I'm all about my budget now. I'm all about my house, renovations and different things like that. So I have to start thinking in a different way. But that's why I want to get back to enjoying my collection as it is, and not worrying about having a new box opening every time I turn around. I'm trying to fulfill that with painting new kits and seeing new faces, bringing them to life, putting the packages together and doing pictures. And I'm going to try to work on my presentation of my box openings a lot, because that sucks. I will be honest about that. My presentation sucks, but I'm going to work on that and see if that helps me from wanting to continuously buy. And I don't want this video to discourage people from buying. I'm just saying that this is just me talking about where I'm at, and you know, just thinking I want to, you know, make it worth it when I buy a baby. I want to get a baby that there's this strong possibility that this is it, and I won't want to sell it or need to sell it or feel the need to sell it type thing. So for those that are watching, thank you. Thank you guys for joining the team membership. We have gotten some new members, and welcome. And guys, be ready. I have some receipts. I have a couple interesting, what I think is interesting cases on the docket. Some different type cases. So see you guys later. Bye-bye.